Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US strikes Iran's 3 nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan. Iran says US violated international law. President Trump, in address to nations, says Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities completely obliterated, warns Iran must now make peace.
Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill.
World leaders urge restraint after US attack on Iran. UN chief calls for de-escalation. UK, EU leaders push for negotiations. US strikes escalate West Asia conflict. Israel launches new attack on Iran after many hurt in Iranian strikes. The United States entered the Israel-Iran conflict by launching airstrikes on 3 of Iran's key nuclear facilities. American B-2 stealth bombers targeted Fordow, Natanz and a third site near Isfahan in an overnight operation. Confirming the attack on social media platform, Trump claimed that US successfully attacked 3 nuclear sites in Iran and that all planes were out of Iranian airspace. Trump added that a full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. Trump added that now is the time for peace. In another social media post, Donald Trump warned Iran against retaliation after US forces struck the country's 3 main nuclear sites. Meanwhile, following the strikes on Iran, Donald Trump addressed the nation early on Sunday, calling it a spectacular military success. Trump said the US military conducted a very successful attack. He said that the objective of attacks was to stop Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and put a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
The US military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success.
Further, President said the US operation marked the first direct American military involvement in Iran's ongoing conflict with Israel.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate, in particular.
President Trump also praised Israel and its leadership for joint coordination.
I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades.
Issuing a final warning to Tehran, Trump said if peace does not come quickly, they will go after those other targets with precision, speed and skill.
There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left, but if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated US President Trump on his decision to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. In his address, Netanyahu said Trump's decision to strike Iran will change history.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
In his first public remarks after the US strikes, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi accused the United States of breaching international law. In a social media post, Araghchi said that United States, which is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has committed a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law and the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. He called the attacks outrageous and warned they would have everlasting consequences. Araghchi added that Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interest and people. The International Atomic Energy Agency meanwhile confirmed that there has been no increase in offsite radiation levels after US airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. The UN watchdog in a social media post stated that the IAEA can confirm that no increase in offsite radiation levels has been reported as of this time. It further said that the UN Nuke Agency will provide further assessments on situation in Iran as more information becomes available. UN nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi has said he was calling an emergency meeting of his agency's 35-nation board of governors on Monday following United States military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. All right, and DD India's Amitrit Pal Singh joins us for more on the story. Hi, Amitrit Pal. Now that United States has officially entered into the Israel-Iran conflict, the question here is that was it a strategic move or was it already on the cards?
Well, President Trump decided to fall behind Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, though he was extending diplomatic support and had been warning Iran to come to the negotiating table. But Iran was defiant, saying that unless Israel stops its military activity against Israel, it wouldn't come. There is no point. There is no room for negotiation with the United States. So I think President Trump took that decision that they will send the B-2 bombers and bomb the 3 sites, which they did last night, Natanz, Evsan, and Fordo. The Israelis could not have. The Israelis could have taken down perhaps Evsan, but not Fordo and Natanz, given their depth. So the Americans had to sort of come in from the American logic or the Western logic. The Americans needed to use their bombers, the GB U-57 bunker clusters, to destroy the uranium enrichment facilities of the Iranians. So they took that decision. Yeah,
okay, Amitrit Pal, President Trump has also said that Iran must make peace now. Do you think that Iran will go back to the United States? They had earlier said that they are not interested in any sort of negotiations till the time this conflict is going on. How do you analyze this entire situation?
I don't think Iran will, return to the table immediately. Iran
Okay.
is hitting targets inside Israel. They've hit about 20 targets, 15 to 20 targets through their missiles, including Herat, including the Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv. Multiple cities they are hitting. Some of them have been neutralized by the Iron Dome and the AD systems and anti-missile systems of the Israelis. But some targets have been hit, including buildings. I don't think Iran would go that easy, given that it has been attacked such blatantly by the United States. In fact, it's threatening to attack U.S. bases in the region and possibly, close down the Hormuz Strait, which is though easier said than done. I think Iran would want to do a certain posturing before it gets down to the table and before the international community weighs down upon them to get into negotiations. Iran would be seen as fighting back before it comes to the table. And also a weakened Iran, Iran knows it may not be any match for the combined Israeli military might, but at least it would want to be seen both to its own people and to the larger world, the Islamic world. Remember, Iran is the only country that's standing up to the hegemony of the United States or Israel within the Islamic world. The Arabs have given it up. So it's the Persians which are taking, standing up to the West and, staring them in the eyes. So I think Iran would want to be seen as doing some fireworks before it gets to the table.
But it might backfire, it seems like, looking at the present situation, Amitrit Pal. This entire situation is developing, and we'll get back to you for more updates. But as of now, thank you so much. In another update, Israeli military said it launched a fresh series of strikes today targeting military targets, including missile launches in western Iran. The military said it had detected 2 waves of missiles fired from Iran as air raid sirens rang out in Tel Aviv and explosions rocked Jerusalem. Hours after U.S. forces struck Iran's 3 main nuclear sites, Iran's armed forces said that they targeted multiple sites in Israel, including Ben Gurion Airport. The targets, including the airport, a biological research center, logistics bases, and various layers of command and control centers. Head of Israeli Rescue Service said that at least 23 people were injured, with 2 in moderate condition. The Israeli military, meanwhile, said it launched a fresh series of strikes targeting military targets, including missile launches in western Iran, after the United States attacked the country's nuclear sites. It further said the Israeli Air Force is operating to intercept and strike where necessary to eliminate the threat. Meanwhile, Israel will reopen its airspace for all flights at 2 p.m. Israel daylight time on Sunday. This comes after Israel Airport Authority closed its airspace in the wake of the U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. The U.S. strikes on Iran have sparked international reactions, with the United Nations calling for de-escalation and some countries condemning the attacks. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres described the attacks on Iran as a dangerous escalation, warning that the conflict in the West Asia could quickly get out of control. The UN chief in a social media post said, and I quote, "I am gravely alarmed by the use of force by the United States against Iran today. This is a dangerous escalation in a region already on the edge and a direct threat to international peace and security." He further stated, "There's a growing risk that this conflict could rapidly get out of control with catastrophic consequences for civilians, the region and the world." The UN chief called on member states to de-escalate and to uphold their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law. He said, "At this perilous hour, it is critical to avoid a spiral of chaos. There is no military solution. The only path forward is diplomacy. The only hope is peace." British Prime Minister Keir Starmer urged Iran to return to the negotiating table and said that stability in the region remained a priority. According to a statement from Downing Street on Sunday, the UK PM said Iran's nuclear program is a grave threat to international security. The statement further added that Iran can never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, and the US has taken action to elevate the threat. The European Union's top diplomat Kaja Kallas called for de-escalation and a return to negotiations after the United States joined Israel's war with Iran by striking the country's nuclear sites. Mexico's foreign ministry has urgently called for diplomatic dialogue for peace between the parties involved in the Middle East conflict. Mexico said the restoration of peaceful coexistence among the states of the region is the highest priority. New Zealand's foreign minister has acknowledged US strikes on nuclear facilities in Iran, calling it extremely worrying. New Zealand has extended its support to diplomacy, urging all parties to return to talk. Speaking on US attacks on Iran's key nuclear sites, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said that Iran's nuclear weapons development must be stopped. PM Ishiba also urged de-escalation between Iran and Israel as soon as possible.
We believe that a de-escalation as soon as possible is more important than anything. At the same time, Iran's nuclear weapons development must be stopped.
Speaking on US strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that the war is not this way to solve problems. It should be solved through dialogue and diplomacy.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी निरंतर इस सोच के रहे हैं कि युद्ध मार्ग नहीं है समस्याओं के समाधान का, डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी बातचीत के माध्यम से, कूटनीति के माध्यम से समस्याओं का समाधान होना चाहिए.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's Operation Sindhu gains momentum. 1,117 Indian nationals evacuated from Iran so far. And major breakthrough in Pelgam terror attack case. Stay tuned to know more. England fights back through Pope's unbeaten century against India in the Headingley Test.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Amid the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, a breakthrough in diplomacy. India has successfully persuaded Tehran to open its airspace for evacuation flights. The result? More than 1,100 Indian nationals have now been brought home safely, with 6 flights operated so far. The latest, an Airbus 34300 Mahan Airlines flight from Mashhad, carried 219 evacuees back to Delhi. Most of them were students caught in the crossfire. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya spoke exclusively to some of the returnees who shared stories of fear, hope and relief. Take a look.
The flight from Iran, Mashhad, has just landed here.
We landed safely in India. I am very, very happy. Thanks to so much for Indian government, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and all of the author and the media.
It's a huge point because a lot of people were thinking how to get back here. Ma'am, आपका एक्सपीरियंस क्या था, थोड़ा बताइए. कैसा रहा, आपको डर लग रहा था वहाँ पे ईरान में?
The Indian government and Indian embassy people were very supportive. Every day when we used to call them, they used to reply us back. ऐसा नहीं है कि they never ignored us or anything. And even the Irani people, they were welcomed us. They helped us a lot. And thanks to Indian embassy, we are back.
Huge word of the Indian government and the way Indian embassy have worked in tandem to get these people from Iran back in India safely, sound, and they are thanking the government as well as the embassy and the Iranian people out there to coordinate and make this Operation Sindhu a massive success. With camera person Praveen, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
In a major breakthrough in the Pelgam terror attack case, the National Investigation Agency has arrested 2 men for harboring the terrorists who had carried out the horrendous attack that killed 26 innocent tourists and grievously injured 16 others. The 2 men, Parvez Ahmed Jothar from Pelgam and Bashir Ahmed Jothar of Hill Park, Pelgam, have disclosed the identities of 3 armed terrorists involved in the attack and have also confirmed that they were Pakistani nationals affiliated to Lashkar-e-Taiba. Both the accused had knowingly harbored the 3 armed terrorists. As per NIA investigations, the 2 men had provided food, shelter and logistical support to the terrorists. The Indian Navy's latest stealth multi-role frigate Tamal is set to be commissioned on July 1st this year at Kaliningrad, Russia. Upon commissioning, Tamal will join the sword arm of the Indian Navy, the Western Fleet under the Western Naval Command. Tamal stands as a testament to the long-standing Indo-Russian cooperation and friendship which has stood the test of time. Tamal has been built at Yantar shipyard in Kaliningrad, Russia, and is the last warship to be inducted from foreign source. In line with the Government of India's impetus on Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India initiatives, the 125-meter-long, 3,900-ton warship has a top speed of over 30 knots and extended endurance. The ship is equipped with advanced weapons. The ship has 26% indigenous components, including the BrahMos long-range cruise missile for targeting both at sea and land.
Is the Lord of Thunder, Lightning, and War. In the vast seas, his legendary weapon rises as a new warrior, INS Tamal.
On to sports updates. England fought back through Ollie Pope's unbeaten century at stumps on day 2 of the first test at Headingley. England ended the day at 209 for 3, trailing India by 262 runs. Pope survived a couple of early chances to bring up his 9th test century. He was joined by Harry Brook at stumps. Meanwhile, Bumrah was the standout for India, finishing with figures of 3 for 48. He removed Zach Crawley in the first over and then came back to dismiss a well-set Ben Duckett for 62 and later trapped Joe Root. Earlier, India were bowled out for 471, having resumed on 359 for 3. Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant and Yashasvi Jaiswal were the major contributors. Despite a middle-order collapse, the total gave India a strong platform. With the pitch still offering movement and uneven bounce, the third day promises more action as India aim to dismantle England's middle order and push for a first innings lead. Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta and Union Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports Mansukh Mandavia flagged off the Olympic Day run from Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in New Delhi on Sunday. President of the Indian Olympic Association, P.T. Usha, was also present at the event. Speaking to the media, Rekha Gupta said under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the nation is continuously progressing towards better sports infrastructure and facilities for athletes. The Chief Minister also said that Delhi and the entire country are fully prepared to host the 2036 Olympic Games. Later, Union Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports Mansukh Mandavia led the Fit India Sunday on Cycle campaign promoting fitness and environmental awareness.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय ओलंपिक्स डे के अवसर पर इस बार की थीम लेट्स मूव, यानी कि हम ऐसी ही एक मुहिम देश में भी चला रहे हैं, फिट इंडिया। तो चलो आज हम देश के सभी नागरिक को, देश के सभी युवाओं को फिट इंडिया मूवमेंट के साथ जोड़ने के लिए, ओबेसिटी के सामने लड़ाई लड़ने के लिए, स्वयं को फिट रखने के लिए हम सब लोग साइकिलिंग के साथ जुड़िए।
But the perseverance and excellence and unity the Olympic moments gives. Lot of people participated. I'm so happy that Sports Minister and CM of Delhi has participated in this, and lot of children are participated in this.
A hot air balloon that was a frequent sight during the Olympic Games last year in Paris made a return to the skies over the French capital. The balloon lifted off from the Tuileries Gardens at the world-famous Louvre Museum in the center of Paris. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.